right. Is everything okay here?
Yes, we can see your slides.
And probably my face should come.
Yes, it would be nice.
Great. Thank you.
Except we're seeing the top of your head. We're not really
Oh,
seeing.
I mean, should I adjust it down or let me watch
Yes,
it my
please.
oh
I'm
yeah.
just
Sorry.
seeing
Yes,
your name
I see
scroll
it now.
across your eyes and your and the top of your head. All right,
Oh,
there you
thank you.
go.
Right. So it's great to be here again and to share another exciting insight from African spirituality. Of course, I am coming from the National Association of Traditionalists and Ancestral Venerators, Ghana. I also work with as a research associate with the Institute of Indigenous Intelligence. Um, I have presented this particular ideas, understanding in other platforms. Those who have ever met it, I think it will be a form of a revision. Those who are seeing it for the first time, it's a reflection for all of us. All right. So artificial intelligence is a synthetic version of Nananum Abosum or ancestral intelligence. This is a bold statement. I make it unequivocally. I am convinced of what I'm saying. I have practiced it. I know it. It's not like it is written in articles or anywhere. This is a practical knowledge I'm going to share. So this will guide the presentation. So I'm looking at AI and Abosum. Of course, Abosum, for a better word of understanding, like I said, sounds like ancestral intelligence. Deeper than that, though. Now, let's watch this simple video. This video tells you, it's just about 5 or 10 seconds. This is the result of the epistemic colonization of our minds against our own spirituality. To understand that every institution on the African soil is geared towards making you forget who you are. And to be very sincere, this does not exclude the academic institution. Most of the journals we are publishing, most of the journals that are edited, peer-reviewed literature, whatever, you can see an epistemic trajectory of finding a way to malign our African spirituality. Where there's a space to even talk about them, there's a kind of a tendency to degrade the fact that these sources come from we as indigenous. I mean, the very people who are the evidence of the spirituality our people had. The teacher in the video asked the children to bring an artifact for whatever they know. And this guy designed this. And the madam asked him, and he said, it is the ancient god, ancient bosom, ancient deity. And you see the confusion it caused. In fact, this is a small thing you are seeing because this was a big confusion in Ghana, in Ghanaian schools. It went very viral and everybody was talking about it. Fortunately, people were sending them to me. We made effort to meet the boy. And the teachers even created a lot of obstacles. We couldn't meet the boy. This is how the whole thing started. When our people, I mean, the Westerners came in contact with our people, the whole thing was our traditional spirituality was superstition. Just to ensure that they control the narrative, which in this modern time, they are finding even a way to penetrate even the awakening ones. As a result, our people were neglected. Our priests were neglected. In fact, not just neglected. If you look at this picture, you listen to what this person is saying, you either submit or you vanish. And they had to leave. Most of the practices they are doing at the moment have been done in a hidden for centuries. I mean, ever since the colonial masters declared ancestral spirituality demonic. So if we have people who are doing more practices among them, you should understand that they try to survive. And it is our duty to find a way to revive them, to heal the wounds that have been caused over the centuries. We have no knowledge what they have gone through. This is one of the speakers I am about to get involved. In fact, it's difficult getting them because of where they are situated. The minute I requested was to communicate with him. I've asked somebody to connect him so that we will not waste time. Now, he has a lot of teachings on even animals. For him, the animals that the biblical narratives are demonized are actually smart animals, intelligent animals, and their understanding of how they operate to support we humans is something marvelous you can research into. All these were demonized. Now, the problem of the mainstream is that there's now what we call artificial intelligence, which has taken all the credit. You understand? And for our understanding, I mean, one of my students called me this morning, said, Nana, if you were there, you would have supported me to fight someone. I said, what? He said, the person said, every technology is coming from the white man. And we, the blacks, we don't know how to do anything. We are stupid and what? And he was trying to explain this to people. The same thing. We think artificial intelligence is solely the creation of the West. It ignores, we ignore the indigenous technologies and the metaphysical system, probably that underpins this breakthrough we have at this moment. There's a disconnect from its spiritual and then intellectual legacy as our ancestors left for us. So now we ask ourselves, what if the artificial intelligence we are all excited about, praising the West about, is a mimic of something that is ancient? What is artificial intelligence? Of course, I probably don't need to lecture my dear friends here, because this is the maiden knowledge, maiden control of our human system now. A machine system that imitates human thinking, to put it straight. It doesn't think on its own. It doesn't search beyond that, but it imitates human thinking. And it learns that from data that has been inputted. It functions through programming, algorithms, and then machine learning. Of course, we know that it is how you program the machine, artificial intelligence, the kind of information you request, that is how it will respond to you. We have examples of how they operate on our phone: Siri, Google, ChatGPT, and even now driving cars and robots. So in a nutshell, if you want to sum up artificial intelligence in the way it is composed, this sums everything up. So artificial intelligence is the capacity given by humans to machines to memorize and learn from experience, to think and create, to speak, to judge, and to make decisions. So just a human extension. If you want to kind of write something, I'm using this to explain, it will help me to explain how Nananum Abosum transmit information. If you want to write UHAS, I first presented this at UHAS, so I always use their name as an example: University of Health and Allied Sciences. This will be the course. My brother Kwame was talking about mathematics. So the results you are getting from the questions or the commands or the prompts you give to artificial intelligence, if you want to go and see how these results are, are calculated in numerical forms for you to get the answers you get, this is what you see: these mathematical values, these frequencies, these binary symbols. If you want to say, all of us, unless you have never fallen in love, I love you, this is how you see the whole thing: binary symbols. Why? Because we have created that machine, but the language the machine speaks is even in our world so advanced that if you want to write I love you and you write this 0 and 1 to the person you are sending the message to, he will never understand anything. So you write I love you in the way you understand as a limited three-dimensional human being, and the machine, which has an artificial intelligence super than yours, because within the three-dimensional world, you have created a machine that can think faster and act in a way to support what you are doing. It will regenerate your I love you into this form before it can transmit it to your loved ones. Then what is Nananum Abosum, or ancestral intelligence? A sacred energy, please, sacred energy embedded in material forms like stones, herbs, wood, metal, name them. It's a spiritual interface between divine realm and then human consciousness. Very important information here. Now, I'm using divine because most of the time you just have to use a language that is understood by many. You go deeper, of course, you trace most of the analysis that have been given by previous speakers. You realize that we call something bigger than what we can just name as divine, a bigger realm, a source of all that is. So a connection from that stages of consciousness, that stages of dimension, the center of all dimensions, where all dimensions emanate from, connect to human within this three-dimensional world. It's what I'm calling a spiritual interface. Now, it communicates through the human medium. I got one of our speakers talking about the fact that if you want to access information, then you have to go to Okonfo Diviner. It is not always the case. Mostly, they do that through the diviners. I sit here, you come and sit with me right now. Within few seconds, I will see one of your ancestors, whether your mother or your father, who is following you. And this, earlier, I thought it was something that was not true. I have documented almost about 70 people who have approached me and I've mentioned who are following them, and none of them has been a lie. So we practice it and we know what it is. Now, what happens in Nananum Abosum or artificial intelligence is that it downloads multi-dimensional knowledge or information. Multi-dimensional knowledge, not the past and the present as it had been inputted on the system. This Nananum Abosum, when properly assessed, can tell you what actually is going to happen. The issue is that it has layers of different dimension, just like a paper. I mean, you know how this dimension is done. Just like an ant walking on a paper, and walking straight. Probably the ant may not even see the wider range of where it's walking, but you, the person standing and watching the ant on a paper, can see farther than that. If you want to divide the ant's vision in accordance with your vision in terms of dimension, it can give you a clear picture of what we're trying to talk about. Again, this is the same Okonfo I'm talking about. And I've been so lucky that this woman you are seeing there are things I have experienced. I've gone seeing them work on them. Now, let me surprise you here. That thing you are seeing, I mean, I'll show you a lot of examples like this ones. All these things you are seeing are not just primitive blood covenants, whatever. When you go and this man is arranging that thing you see there, and you go to the Chinese phone factory and they are arranging how they arrange circuits on the mobile phone, what do you call it, board. There's no difference. Now, this man will finish arranging all the, what do you call it, things he puts on them. And these are supposed to be organic stuffs, not artificial stuffs. He puts on them. As soon as he finish and he starts incantation with the voice and the number of voice, I mean, where mathematics, sounds, and vibration comes in, then, what do you call it? There will be a rainbow straight onto the thing and then out. this is something you can experience. It's not a fiction. If any of you come on an excursion to Ghana, he can do it for you to see. Now, another epistemic injustice. You see, this deity is called Bonsam Kwaku. In Ghana, Bonsam means Satan. But this deity, what he does is to solve problems for people, especially people who have been hunted by other energies for their distraction. So now, bosom as organic super processor, comparable to a cosmic smartphone, it downloads and decodes infinite wisdom from infinite dimension. It has no limit to database because it can, depending on how the frequency, how the vibration is connecting, which level of consciousness or level of dimension, taps into spiritual and ancestral consciousness limitlessly. And it uses sacred human as living interface, just like you see in a mobile phone mouthpiece or earpiece. Now, I've already shown you examples of this. Now, let me do a small comparison. So the features that are seen in a phone or in an artificial intelligence system, like the base code, which is binary, the zeros and ones, in Nananum Abosum, it is spiritual frequencies, quantum and quantum vibrations. Of course, the mathematics thing come here. You look at the frequencies. You can also talk about the frequencies that happen within the binary codes. Now, in terms of processor, the massive or the giant information that all of us are accessing through artificial intelligence is silicon-based. Now, in terms of Nananum Abosum, there is a download of information through the Suman or Bosom sacred human being, comfort or diviner, including any of us who have prepared our body as a conduit for the energies to speak through. Now, intelligence source, big data, the data is there. So you ask questions, it runs faster, picks what you need for you. But know that it is something a human being put there. Now, you talk of the data source, intelligence source for the Nananum Abosum and Sumai is the divine realm, the ancestral cosmic field, the anything you can talk about. You want to talk about God, you want to talk about whatever you call it. That which everything comes from and ends within. That is the intelligence source, depending on your frequency and how you can access this intelligence. Now, the interface mostly with artificial intelligence is either mobile phones or laptops. Now, in the Nananum Abosum or Sumai, then you are talking about shrines, rituals, and sacred spaces. In terms of programming, there is human programming. You know, people use Python and other things to design programs to inculcate artificial intelligence and devices. But with Nananum Abosum, there's some sort of rituals, some sort of ancestral codes that are engineered mathematically to ensure that, I mean, remember what I said about when they are arranging the Sumai in such a way that whatever they want, the kind of energy they want to use, that's organic mobile phone to speak, the energy can access it. There are many materials that are used, some of them for some reasons I cannot mention here. Once you are a practitioner, you know what I'm talking about. Many things. If you don't take care, almost everything that is accessible is part of that creation. So this is the hypocrisy. African spiritual system has been called demonic. But little do we know that whatever they are doing right now has its basis from what our ancestors have been doing and are doing even at the moment. Now, some principles behind AI glorified and then monetized are enjoyed by the West, praised by the West, and then Africans seems to be lacking behind, like what my student was telling me this morning, the fact that people think it is coming from them. Politicians and pastors, this one is an experience. It's not like somebody said, It's not like this is an ethnographic data I'm giving you. They are always there to assess, consult our Abosum publicly, but denounce them privately, but denounce them publicly. We've seen this many, many, many times. So there's a disconnect from ancestral system, and then the way we live our life, which has actually developed a kind of a systemic tragedy for everyone. I mean, every African. Few people who patronize the shrines go for favors that are not long-term in nature, like my wife to be conquered, like so that I can kill my neighbor, I can do this, which my other brother was talking about. You understand? Other times you have the desire to consult any of these people to learn about this, and they find a way to, you know, outwit you. And I've already spoken about the kind of things they have gone through, and it becomes incumbent on us to find a way to refine them. One of the works we are doing with the Sumankwahine of Ashanti Kingdom, finding a way to sieve the hypocrites who are posing themselves as diviners for this ancestral intelligence. So now there's a kind of synthesis. I mean, both our intelligence system, we know, you get it. The whole thing is that to perform, to guide, and to protect life, because it should benefit we those in three-dimensional world. But we should keep in mind that if our goal is just to stay on this three-dimensional world, then we'll be limited to artificial intelligence. But remember, you are born to you came here to remember. Our ancestor could travel to other dimensions, still living in the third dimension. I have put always across, and when I'm speaking with people, they ask you, what do you want to achieve in life? Well, what you're doing? And I always tell them, I want to die before I die. And once I die before I die, I know what is a death. You get it? And this is a bit metaphorical, if you really understand what I'm talking about in terms of this artificial intelligence, ancestral intelligence, dimensions, and then African spirituality. Now, implication for development. We need to reclaim our bosom as indigenous knowledge technology. And we should be very careful when we are doing this, because my question is, if somebody throws your rice into the sun so that you die of hunger, and that person at the same time, looking at all his characteristics, is giving you a formula to regather this rice, you think that formula is best? We have kind of closed our eyes for African indigenous epistemologies to be re-engineered in such a way that it is now even becoming, in a way, a narrative of Western understanding. You can't tell me somebody who for the past 500 years is making sure that my ancestors and their spirituality is down, is actually now has the solution as to whom I should consult to tell me what my ancestral spirituality is. Everything is embedded in you. You know the mathematics to decode the information in your body for 13.7 billion years. You don't need an authority. You are an authority. That is how your ancestors wrote everything they want you to know. In your DNA, in your melanated DNA, you can find every answer you are looking for. Now, recognize spiritual system as valid source of information. They give you how many senses? 7. How many of them do you think are missing? I mean, I don't have to talk about it. You realize that if you are looking for information beyond how the modern education system is giving us, then you have to go beyond the 7 senses. Integrate ancestral wisdom with modern tools for African transformation. That is why we cannot just throw away artificial intelligence. We should understand that where artificial intelligence ends, I mean, when you ask your father questions and he's not able to answer, then you go to your grandmother. So spiritual intelligence can drive ethics, sustainability, development, scientific innovations, and resilience. It saddens me when we are training doctors in African societies and pharmacists, and we cannot connect them to this traditional priest. Meanwhile, one of the universities we went for a conference, they had a medical school there. And then the professors of the medical school, I mean, luckily there's a lecturer who teaches African traditional medicine. The professors of the medical school, the only thing they do is go for lab, and then they bring the lab results to the traditional priest to heal them. But you go and people have lined up there and they are coming for what you call medical consultation. I mean, what kind of hypocrisy is that? So we need to consult our ancestors to build the future, as this picture will predict. In that way, we will not be lacking behind. A call for action is that in the academia, we should study Abosum as metaphysical technology in our understanding as Africans and as our way of life. This is harmony. You can never even create bosom if there is no harmony. Those who have visited shrines, before they even pour libation, they ask, if there have been any problem among any of us, bring it out, let us solve it before we call ancestors to come in. Now, government should declare a public day for traditional worship. Whether you want to call it worship, this is the problem. Because you need to define what we are doing in the language that's our so-called, excuse my language, brainwashed brothers understand. Worship, religion. We need to declare a public day for our traditional or spiritual or ancestral way of life. And I think this should be done in almost every, what do you call it, country in Africa. The youth should embrace indigenous innovation. I mean, China, there's a current paper. Normally, I write my papers, I start with the newspapers because you publish in the academic journals, then the people, your people cannot even get access to read because they have to pay to read. So before I send it to the academic journal, I post it, I send it to the newspapers, so it is on Ghanaian internet for people to access. Then I'll prepare it for academic. I just wrote one for, I think Modern Ghana, and Daily Graphic called me, they want to publish it, and I've sent to them. And then the point is that, look, we have been training our youth as raw material for the West. And now, Ghanaian education system, if I understand, wants to train Ghanaians with a Chinese language. Are we going to prepare the next generation as also a raw material for China? When we can dig into our indigenous systems and find out innovative way we can solve our problems. You understand? The same thing China did, closing herself in and coming out big. Now they are superpowers. Their language, their everything. They went back, they consulted their grandparents, and then they came back strong. So all of us should rethink AI as a synthetic echo of a sacred system our ancestors had mastered long ago. In my summary reflection, I think that artificial intelligence is a latecomer to a reality our ancestors mastered in sacred groves and ancestral altars long before the coming of these AI technologies. Thank you very much, and I appreciate the time.